The Hoka Mach 6. 50 plus miles into the shoe. There's things I really need to discuss that I don't like about the shoe, so without sugarcoating it, let's get into it. So before we begin with the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're already subscribed, watching content. Thanks so much, love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Strava for all sorts of updates and blah, 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 blah. Without further ado, let's begin. Specs of the shoe somewhere up here. And yeah, we'll just, like I said, no reason to sugarcoat it. We'll just kind of get into the things that have been bugging me with the Mach 6 as a whole. There were two things of concern in my previous first impressions video that basically had me, again, concerned that are now at the limit where I don't know if I can continue training with this shoe at this time. So today is July 6th, and starting tomorrow, July 7th, is my official 12-week plan for the Chicago Marathon training block. And I was hoping this was going to be the daily trainer. That could kind of be something I shuffle in and out, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that case, at least this particular pair. So, issue number one. As I discussed before, the fit of this shoe is not exactly what I thought it was going to be compared to the Mach 4 and Mach 5 predecessors, right? So in those shoes, the toe boxes had a lot more space in the shoes, which allowed for a little bit of wiggle room for the toes and allowed for a little bit of expansion when you were running, and it allowed for that flexibility. So if you were pronating or supinating a little bit, you had that kind of wiggle room in the foot, right? What's happening here is, I'll get to the 2 points of it, is number one, for me in particular, the toe box is way too tight. And this is something that goes one of two ways. Number one, this could be just the fundamental design of the Mach 6, as the shoe is to be a little bit more streamlined, tighter. I don't know, maybe it's a material straining cost. Maybe there's something in manufacturing that was slightly different than the Mach 4 and the Mach 5. But it's simply not working, and I don't think it's visible here, but yeah, it doesn't appear to be visible, but I have busted my toes on the toe box of this shoe, as I have done in Hoka shoes in the past. So in 2017, I believe I had the Arahi 16, and the shoe was too big, and I actually got black toenails as a result of running in those shoes, and I moved it a size down, and I basically fixed the problem, right? With this particular shoe, it feels too small, and I'm banging with my middle toe and my ring toe, the ones that are basically on the outside anterior side of my foot. They're just smashing the toe box way too much whenever I'm doing any sort of uphill or downhill work, just in any sort of tandem kind of sense. Even on flat ground, it just keeps banging into this toe box. So kudos to the toe box for being reinforced and not being something that's you're gonna tear through while you're running. But it's not good if the toe box itself is just so tight that you can't get any wiggle room for the toes, you know? So it's hard to see here. I can like see it while I'm looking at it, and it's probably impossible to see here. I'll do my best to see it, but there's like blood at the end of the shoe, and it's very faint, but it's basically from like my toes just exploding at the end of the shoe. So not really a big fan of that, and it's kind of causing some massive issues. So that being said, like as I said in a previous video, I've watched what other shoe reviewers have discussed with the shoe, and I think Michael Coe kind of nails it on the head. Like, Hoka's shoe sizing is fairly inconsistent across the entire shoe lineup. So I'm in total agreement that if you like this shoe, then my opinion is to size up a half size at this time, just to avoid the toe box issue. Unless you have a more narrow foot, then maybe you can get away with it. But I think my foot runs a little bit wider than usual, or at least the shoe makes me think it does. So as a result, I keep smashing into this toe box. It's a very uncomfortable ride in that sense. Now, that's number one. And the second concern that we had in the original video was the overall ride of the shoe. And at this point, I'll see if I can phrase this properly, because I don't hate the ride of this shoe, right? So the main differences between this shoe and the Mach 5 and Mach 4 predecessors is there's no Pro Fly running across the shoe. We just have the EVA foam, just one piece, kind of just molded around, and then we have the rubber support to protect that foam for your runs, which in my opinion is a great idea. originally I had a concern that they were just going to put more weight on the shoe and we're going to lose a little bit of the pop from the shoe overall. And I don't think as much of the pop is missing, but there's like a catch-22 with that, is that I've initially lowered my standards for what to expect from this shoe as a result because the ProFly's not in here, right? It's like me buying a Vaporfly Next Percent 4 and there's no Zoom X on it. Like, what would you expect me to experience from that shoe unless we've created like Zoom Z, which is like, you know, the next generation foam. So Nike, if you use a Zoom Z foam, 10 cents per shoe sale to my bank account. Does that sound reasonable? I'll even take 9. So anyways, the point here is that there's no ProFly Plus or just regular ProFly foam across the shoe. So it's, as I probably described before, it's like an Infinity React compared to a Pegasus Turbo in the Nike lineup, right? You're missing that reactive speed foam at the top layer of the foam, and you're missing the more, I guess, reinforced, more dense foam on the bottom of the shoe, and as a result, you're kind of messing up some of the ride that's associated with it. And now, as you can probably see from the bottoms of the shoes at this point in time, with the way the form has slightly changed, my midfoots are starting to take a little bit more of a beatdown, which is fine, and I'm specifically referring to this area of the shoe as my form is kind of gradually changing and I'm trying to adapt over time, and the rubber is also taking the exact beating we would be expecting right here on the sides. It's not extreme on the ends, but it's kind of flat in this area, but I do catch myself still kind of having that supination in the shoe while I'm trying to, you know, kind of push in it as well. But anyways, back to the ride. The reason I have an issue with it mostly is not necessarily a shoe problem. Some people might actually really enjoy this ride, but my issue with it is that I have better alternatives available on the market, and I'm just aware of them, right? So if I'm looking for that everyday daily trainer with a little bit of speed that's kind of in a good price point, that isn't too complicated or technical to use on a daily basis, I do actually have things like the Puma Deviate Nitro 2. I have things like the Mach 5 if I wanted to reinstate an old pair that I had with like 150, 200 plus miles on it. I have a couple of the other shoes that I have in the works. I have like a Magic Speed, you know, if I want to reinstate that. So I have better alternatives than the Mach 6, but it's not to say that the Mach 6 as a whole is a bad shoe. It's just I have a better time with different daily trainers than this shoe. And yes, I've only been running with this a handful of times on various surfaces and various workouts for various speed, you know, exercises. But I know just immediately at its current specs, what's available in the foam, lack of carbon plate, or maybe that's an advantage if you don't want the carbon plate. Just the overall specs of the shoe are just not for me. I'll put it that way. Like, I don't hate the shoe as like, oh man, this shoe sucks, nobody should buy it. It's just, for me in particular, the tightness of the toe box, the ride compared to other daily trainers I have available to me specifically they're just not it, you know? So I am probably planning on returning this shoe, and I'll use this money to try out a different Hoka product. I'm aware that there's like 2 other Hoka shoes on the market, and the names are like just missing me right now. One of them is apparently like the greatest racing shoe of all time. It's not the X Rocket, it's not the Carbon X. There's like a new one that just came out, and I'm gonna butcher its name, and I don't even want to look it up. I'll put the name of it somewhere in this video. Like, I'll take that money and invest it into that shoe, and maybe there's something that can be done there as like an everyday racer, or something that becomes a race day shoe. So that's just kind of where I'm at with this. Like, save the money on the daily trainer, and you know, pay it forward for yourself to a higher quality shoe, because I'm not like pinching pennies right now necessarily when it comes to my running product. I do want to invest in good quality product. It's just this is not something I'm willing to pay down towards when I can invest a little bit more and have a better ride elsewhere. So I think I'm going to leave the video here. Just keep it short and sweet. Give you my 2 cents on the 2 points that I had strongly considered. And again, if you agree or disagree with the assessment, just let me know in the comments below. If you've experienced similar things with the toe box or any other features with the shoe, also let me know. I just want to see if like maybe this is like a unique scenario for the pair I bought. Is this something that other customers have experienced? Have just like, ironically, only the shoe review people on this channel or the YouTube as a whole are experiencing like tightness? Like, I don't know what the scoop is, but that's just kind of what I want to find out. And yeah, this is just my overall experience, so don't hate me for hating on a pair of Mach Hokas, because I've had the Mach 4 and the Mach 5 and I've loved those shoes, but I just can't get along with the new generation of Mach 6 right now. So I'll leave the video right here. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.